Get knocked, Sparta!
It's gonna go up.
I am the Gypsy King! No hug needed!
This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. You look tanned. You look like you need a haircut again.
I've just got back, so don't start mugging me off. You know, the tan's on, but I've had 3 hours skip on a plane, straight into the office. So, but check me out later this week at the Conor Benn fight and at the press conference. We're going to be coming in hot. Big fight week in Manchester, ready to go. Spoke to Conor Benn, absolutely firing ahead of this fight. Going to be a great show. Looking forward to getting up to Manchester.
I noticed you're doing a little Eddie talks to the fighters now as well. Like I see you. What? No, you did it with Ebony Bridges and you did it with Conor Benn. Is that a new kind of thing? Not gel, just saying, is it?
No, but I think it's good. I think it's good to show fighters in a different kind of light. So a lot of the content that we're producing at the moment, just letting you learn more about the fighters and understand their real personality away from the ring. So 2 fighters there, one in Ebony, who's obviously a big star, just won the World Championship. Conor Benn, one of the biggest stars in British boxing. So don't worry, we'll still give you access to them. It's fine. But I might do a little bit more.
Yeah, you should do, yeah. Let's talk about Conor Benn. You've gone on record, I can't remember what it was, might have been the DAZN boxing show, where you've said that come through this fight, there will be what everyone will deem as a huge fight in the summer for Conor Benn.
Has to be, really. I mean, look, he's 20-0. I think the progression of Conor Benn has been perfect. I love this fight for a lot of different reasons. Van Heerden's very experienced, he's very tough, he's a good fighter, but he's also a southpaw. This is the first southpaw Conor Benn has faced in his entire career. And when you look at the quality of the southpaws who are at the elite level at 147 pounds, you can't go into a fight like that having never faced a southpaw before. So I feel like this is the perfect fight for him. I said to Conor the other day, it's a real compliment to people that people are almost overlooking Van Heerden like the opponent's not good enough. Because it was only a year ago, people were saying you were overrated. So the way that he's dispatching these guys, and he's fired up to dispatch Van Heerden, but Van Heerden's made of tough stuff. Like he's proper, you know, he's a proper tough fighter, experienced fighter, and I expect him to be there deep in the fight. Conor doesn't, but I do. And I think if he can dispatch of Van Heerden in the same kind of style that he did with Algieri, he's ready. And we don't need to keep the shackles on anymore. You know, we don't need to hold him back. We don't need to say, you know, oh no, you're not ready for this, you're not ready. Let him go. Let him off the leash and go and take on the elite in the division. Now, there's 2 different types of elite. There's Mikey Garcia, Danny Garcia, Kell Brook, Adrian Broner, and then there's Terence Crawford, Jaron Ennis, maybe Virgil Ortiz. But those other guys, you know, Thurman, Ugas, like, these are major steps for Conor Benn. But we got to take them. And I think the time to do it is following a successful victory over Chris Van Heerden. And all of the names that I mentioned, I don't think, you know, Crawford and those guys, I think that his next opponent should come from the likes of Khan, Brook, and it won't be Khan next anyway because he wouldn't be ready, but Brook, Mikey Garcia, Danny Garcia, even Keith Thurman. I mean, he wants to fight Ugas, Conor. And if he gets beat by Spence, you know, maybe that's an opportunity as well. So he needs a big fight in the summer, but let's see how he gets on Saturday. These are the kind of fights and banana skins that can disrupt those plans.
Do you think the criticism he does get sometimes, do you see the point of the criticism or not really?
Not really, because a year ago or less, he was overrated. Now, Algieri and Van Heerden and all these guys, and I go back to, 18, 19 months ago, and Chris Van Heerden's last fight, he headlined on Showtime against Jaron Ennis, right? That was Jaron Ennis's 26th fight. This is Conor Benn's 20th fight. I rate Jaron Ennis as one of the best welterweights in the world. So I think it's flattering for Conor that people see him as a massive, huge favourite against Van Heerden. The tricky thing in this fight is the southpaw. That's the main, obstacle in this fight. He's got to overcome that southpaw style. It's not a tricky southpaw style, but he's still a southpaw, and it's the first one he's faced in his entire career. And you need that kind of grounding. You need to have faced all variations especially if you're going to fight an elite southpaw. So I think it's a really good fight, and you'll see when you speak to Van Heerden. He's an emotional guy. He's been through a lot, and he's fired up for this opportunity. I think it's going to be a really good fight.
You've added Alicia Baumgartner to the card. Is this fight replacing Zelfa Barrett?
Yes. Zelfa was out with injury, so we added Alicia Baumgartner against Matisse. I think Alicia, look, there's a lot of big fights in women's boxing at the moment. You've got the mega fight, Taylor Serrano, then you've got Shields against Marshall. Now you've got Mayer against Baumgartner. This is a great fight. You talk about Shields and Marshall with the beef. These two may even be on another level. It's a fight that could determine the undisputed at 130 pounds. Alicia was supposed to fight March 5th, wasn't ready, had a little injury, comes back. Late notice she took this fight. And then I think she should go in with definitely Choi, but maybe straight into Michaela Mayer. Michaela Mayer needs a big fight. Alicia needs a big fight. It's a massive fight for women's boxing. And, she's excited to defend her world titles back in the UK. Brilliant co-main event. Chris Billam-Smith against Tommy McCarthy. We saw one of the fights of the year here at Fight Camp. Obviously, it's a rematch for the European Cruiserweight Championship as well. Campbell Hatton back in action. Jack Cullen, Jordan Thompson, Cyrus Patterson, James Metcalf warming up for the big fight in Bilbao with Leharaja and big card. But of course, obviously Conor Benn. But looking forward to the co-main event, Chris Billam-Smith against Tommy McCarthy. I think it'll be another brilliant fight.
Okay, a lot of boxing on this weekend.
Seems to be it's a really good sign for boxing, but it is also it's difficult. What did you have this weekend? Obviously, you had Gennady Golovkin against Murata on DAZN earlier in the day. Then you had Ryan Garcia on DAZN. Then you had Fundora against Lubin on Showtime, was it? I think it was. There was an ESPN fight as well, I think. Michaela Mayer, she was on. It's non-stop. And obviously this weekend you've got Conor Benn in Manchester. You've got a BT show, I think, Jason Cunningham. Yeah. You've got the Boxer Series, the tournament series. It's just impossible to run on a weekend without other boxing, which shows you, the state the sport's in. But yeah, it was a good weekend of boxing. Come at me, bro.
No, I was just going to ask. I know, we had a blank weekend in the UK on the night, the weekend gone. All these fights you were referring to were obviously abroad, but it just comes to a weekend where, as great as it is to have three. There's an MTK show on Friday night at your call, but on the Saturday there's 3 shows on.
Yeah. A lot of it is down to scheduling issues. And what weekend suits. And venues. So, for example, I don't know. Last weekend, what was last weekend? The Masters. So maybe broadcast looks at it and says that time slot is not ideal for boxing, because certainly Sky would say that. I think it's never ideal, but it's very difficult to, we've got the biggest attraction this weekend out of the 3 shows. It's not being arrogant, but it's just fact. But sometimes, when we did a Coley, for example, it was the same weekend as Josh Taylor, I believe. So we said, look, we don't want to go up against Josh Taylor against Catcher. It's a big fight. We'll go on Sunday. But sometimes you don't have to move your show and etc. But it's very difficult lining up arenas with TV schedules as well and getting exactly what you want.
Okay, but yeah, if you're a boxing fan,
it's a great weekend.
It's a great weekend, absolutely. Okay, let's talk about Anthony Joshua. Rumours circulating a date in July has been set for Saudi Arabia.
Not true. It's in discussion. I had a call today from a journalist who said, I saw a journalist broke that it's a signed deal for this date. It's not. No formal contracts have been finalised. Yes, that is a date that's under consideration and an offer that's been made. We have other various sites, other various offers in place. Obviously, this is a financial split, this deal with Usyk, so Team Usyk and Alex Krasik and those guys are involved in those conversations. They're going to want to go to the most lucrative site as well. We'd like to do the fight in London. We also appreciate there's much bigger money for the fight elsewhere. We'll make a collective decision over the next 2 weeks, and we're reviewing all the contracts and offers that have been made from the various sites.
Has this fight now moved from the potential of June now into July because of Usyk's situation?
Yeah, not necessarily, but it's looking likely that it'll fall in July. It's very important that AJ fights at least twice this year, and that will only happen if we do a fight in June or July. So that's the absolute cut-off. I think the July 23rd date was mentioned. That would be the cut-off final date to make sure that he'd be able to fight in December again. So I think, remember, it sounds like Groundhog Day, doesn't it? 2 weeks. 2 weeks away from an announcement, but 2 weeks away from an announcement. And like I said, everything's being finalised now. All the offers are being reviewed, the contracts are being reviewed, and we'll make an announcement in due course.
But as far as you're concerned, that fight between AJ and Usyk, that's it. There's no other kind of plan B to this at all.
Absolutely not. Not talking to anybody else, not looking to talk to anybody else. We know what we've been through, AJ, people trying to get AJ to step aside, etc. And no, is the answer. That is the fight. That is the fight that is happening, and there'll be an announcement in due course.
I saw some quotes from Usyk himself about the amount of weight he'd lost kind of over the last couple of months. Did you see that?
No. What did he say?
Let me get the exact quotes.
Weight Usyk had lost?
Yeah.
Well, that's good news.
Just talk to the public a second. Let me find this.
How are you? It's great to see you.
Let me find that. So, just read a quote here. Alexander Usyk lost 22 pounds in a single week after a situation. I think his wife revealed that in an interview.
Wow, that's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure whether that's been reported correctly, but again, over.
Well, that's according to his wife.
22 pounds in 1 week. Okay. I don't know, but
10 kg. Yeah.
that's a lot of weight. But look, he's been through obviously a difficult situation. We understand he's training. He's in training camp. So is AJ, pretty much. I think neither of them have kind of officially started their official camp, but about to do so, and we'll be finalising the fight and making a big announcement soon.
I know I always ask you this, but it seems to have dragged on over the last few months. But are we to expect any additions to Joshua's team ahead of his camp? Like when you say he officially starts his camp, because we haven't really heard anything apart from his quotes about Angel Fernandez, who we know he works with anyway. But
I think there will be some additions to the team. Yeah, I mean, obviously, look, it's a very personal decision to AJ, who he has in his training team, and he'll make the announcements with 258 when that's revealed. But we talk, and we were talking about it a couple of days ago. I think it's likely that you will see some new faces or a new face within the training camp, but it's who AJ feels comfortable with, and at the moment he's training really well. He's in a great headspace, and he's ready to fight. So we want to get my job, get the fight made, get the contract signed, announce and promote the fight. Training side will be taken care of obviously by AJ and his team, and I'm sure they'll get it right.
So you're saying 2 weeks we'll find out, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I would say about 2 weeks, yeah. Maybe sooner.
That's what you're better off doing. You're better off telling people it's a month and then it comes in a week.
I reckon that we'll have news before the end of July.
What?
Well, that's the safe option, isn't it?
You'll have news before the end of July. We're going to learn about his fight before the end of July.
Well, the fight's going to be before the end of July. That way I can't lose.
Okay, mate. Your thoughts on Golovkin's win in Japan? It's a bit of a weird time. I know because it was in Japan, obviously, but yeah.
I mean, great fight. Live on DAZN. I think that, like, let's look at, if you want to be critical of Gennady Golovkin, started slow, like he always does, took a little bit too much punishment in the early rounds. Now let's be positive. The guy hasn't boxed for over 400 days. He went to Japan, to the guy's backyard, to fight a world champion, a superstar out there, and lost 2 rounds, maybe 3 rounds, and then battered Murata and stopped him to unify the division. I think, and obviously if Canelo beats Bivol, the fight will be at 168. I think he needs to move up from 160. He's boxed at middleweight for 10 years. You know, it's a long time to maintain that weight. I think he's going to be stronger at 168. But you have to give him massive props. You know, he hasn't boxed for a long period of time. He went over there. It was a great fight. And listen, in the 3rd round maybe, I started thinking, whoo, this could go the other way. And he bit down on the gum shield. He did what Golovkin does, and he battered Murata, who was very brave, by the way, and I thought he was fantastic. So, big win for Gennady Golovkin, and obviously now all eyes on May the 7th for Canelo against Bivol.
What are if you list me the most realistic options for him, obviously depending on what happens with Canelo and Bivol, but for Golovkin?
The fight's made.
Done.
The fight's made. You know, we can beat around the bush and we can, you know, but the reality is the fight's done. But Canelo's got to win. And I'm telling you now, this fight against Bivol is a dangerous, dangerous fight. Bivol is looking fantastic in the gym. He really fancies it. This is a massive banana skin. This isn't Golovkin against Murata, right? Gennady was a big favourite in this fight, and so is Canelo Alvarez. But this is a undefeated light heavyweight world champion that can really fight and has the bit between his teeth. Canelo against Bivol is going to be an absolute thriller, and he's got to win. Sal, if Sal Alvarez beats Dimitri Bivol, he will fight Gennady Golovkin in September, and it will be an undisputed trilogy that will be the biggest fight in boxing. So I see some people say, "Oh, I don't want to see him fight Canelo Alvarez." Why? The 2 first fights, 2 of the best fights I've ever seen. Oh, it's 2 years on to it, mate. Trust me, this fight will be electric, especially at 168. So let's see what happens May 7th.
All over to your mate on May the 7th.
Both my mates.
Oh, yeah. But Canelo's your mate, isn't he?
Listen, just because, even if you see me wearing a Mexican bandana, I want you to know that I'm neutral in this fight.
You should do a half and half. Kazakhstan on one side, Mexico on the other side.
Well, I was talking about May 7th, but yeah. And I really like Gennady Golovkin, and obviously we've worked with Dimitri Bivol for a long time. It's difficult. I might have to just say to Dimitri Bivol, I do love you, but obviously,
It's not the first time or the last time you've done that. Edward, did you see a quite sensational video that Frank Warren put out from his office yesterday, wishing Dillian Whyte happy birthday?
Yeah. I did actually see that.
Bit of trolling from Frank there?
Yeah. I don't know what to say really. Messaged Dillian yesterday, wishing him a happy birthday, obviously. The whole build-up's been quite weird, really. I mean, God knows what's going to happen next week. God knows if the fight even happens. I don't know. But I'm sure there's going to be plenty of ups and downs over the next, 11 days. So, yeah, don't really know what to say about that video. But
Are you going to make yourself present at anything to do with next week?
I think so, no. I mean, I'm not really invited, but I don't, I think if Dillian needs me anywhere, of course I'll help him out wherever I'm needed to be. I think Bob Arum said that he'd give me a seat, which was really kind of him. But we'll see. We'll talk to Dillian and we'll see.
As the fight itself, how tough of a fight is this for Fury?
I think it's a very tough fight. On paper right now, Tyson Fury is the best heavyweight in the world. But Dillian Whyte can beat anybody on his day. And sometimes when you look at a fight and you say, how can they win? He can knock Tyson Fury out. Dillian Whyte has the power, the one-punch power, and he's a fantastic body puncher as well, to knock someone out. Any heavyweight in the division, he has the power to knock them out, right? So if Tyson gets sloppy, if they start trading up, he has a great chance in this fight. Tyson's a favourite. He's got a great boxing mind. He's very awkward, but sometimes you look at a fight and you go, I just can't see a way. I can see it. I can visualise the knockout. But it's going to be a very tough fight. But this is his chance. This is Dillian's chance, and he would have put the work in. I'm sure he'll be ready.
Thoughts on the undercard for next weekend?
I think I don't like. It's easy for me to start trolling people. I think you've seen the response to the undercard. We've always spent a lot more money than we should on an undercard because I don't want to get the kind of stick that this undercard's got, and I understand they don't want to spend the money. They're saving the money. They don't want to, I think, but fans realise they feel shortchanged, and on a night, I think we always look at these nights as an opportunity to give our best talent the platform, right? So, if you look at the last AJ fight in the UK, which was Usyk, I think Lawrence Okoli defended his world title. Callum Smith returned for his first fight at 175. Florian Marku boxed Prodan. Campbell Hatton was on the card. There was a couple of our other young talents as well. And then you go back to Joshua against Ruiz undercard, which was Katie Taylor against Pearsoon, Callum Smith against Hassan and Dam, Joshua Boatsi, Josh Kelly. It's your opportunity to showcase your best talent on the biggest of platforms. But I don't want to criticise because everyone's criticised it anyway. So it just looks like, Eddie's now. But I think you see for yourself the response. I think fans feel like they've been shortchanged and because they've tried to save money. But I get it. They've paid a lot of money for the fight. But it's just on that stage, on that show, I get the disappointment.
Edward.
Yes.
You make reference there to Joshua's fight with Ruiz, with the undercard of Taylor Pearsoon, etc. But that fight with Ruiz was never ever meant to be as big as it was, and it was only that big because he lost. But in comparison, White against Fury is a bigger fight than what Joshua Ruiz was. Agreed?
Yeah, what about Vladimir Klitschko against Tyson Fury? What about Froch against Groves? Froch against Groves, we had James DeGale in a final eliminator for the world title. We had, I can't even remember now, Luke Campbell, Jamie McDonnell, Kevin Mitchell, Callum Smith. All of our young talent as well. We've always invested in undercards, always. But you're going to end up getting me to say something like...
I don't want you to say anything,
I'm just saying, look at our undercards for stadium shows. We've always put our elite talent on because you have to. Look at Taylor Serrano coming up at Madison Square Garden. I know that, yes, you're right, Fury against White is a bigger fight. We've got Liam Smith against Jesse Vargas as chief support. And now, also, we add Gamal Yafai, Olympic gold medalist, to Madison Square Garden. You should be putting on, I don't know who he's got left, Anthony Yard, right? He should be fighting on the card. And I heard a clip where he said, why would we put Anthony Yard in a fight? He's got the winner of Better Biev against Joe Smith. That's in July or something. So what are you going to do? Not fight Anthony Yard till December? But look, he's paid a lot of money for the fight. As I said, sometimes you buy a Rolls Royce, you can't afford to put the petrol in.
Love that card. Yeah, I know, but are people buying I get what you mean about the undercard. Listen, about any undercard, I get that. But ultimately, people are buying it. This is one of them fights where people are really buying it for the main event, aren't they?
Yeah, I guess. But if you're buying a ticket, you want to go and see a good night of boxing. You're not.
No, I get that.
But again, like, you know, you can't. Sometimes you can attempt to justify an undercard, but you're better off. What Frank should have said was, I ain't got the money because I've spent it all on the main event. So unfortunately, this is what you're going to get. And everyone might have gone, fair enough. But then he's telling us that this fight is a great fight and it's a 50-50. It's no wonder.
He's a promoter. He's no different from you selling a fight that. It's no different from you saying about a mediocre fight. You going, this is a banger. You do it.
No one's heard of these people. So it's like, I just feel like on this platform, you should showcase your great talent, because when you're selling an opportunity for a fighter to sign a fighter, these are the platforms that you're saying, like, I don't know, who else is Frank got that's a good young talent? Dennis McCann. I know he fought a couple of weeks ago, but that's the kind of name that you should be saying to a young fighter, and look, now I'm giving you the opportunity to fight at Wembley. You know? Anyway, look.
Okay, we can move on from this. I know it's a bit old news now, but I did want to talk to you about this Devin Haney situation with yourself. Is it clear what happens after this fight?
2 fights.
With Kambosos, 2 fights, sorry.
Yeah, so Lou DiBella was negotiating with DAZN and ESPN to do the Lomachenko fight and to do the Haney fight. Lou DiBella and Kambosos no longer wanted to offer the Australian TV to DAZN, which was a major part of the deal that, you know, they were very interested in, being a global platform. The deal changed. The offer from ESPN apparently was better for Lou DiBella. And we got to a stage where Lomachenko wasn't available for the fight. We tried to make the fight on DAZN. We couldn't agree terms, and ESPN's offer was still there for Haney to fight Kambosos. To be fair to Devin, who is a good friend of mine, he did everything he could to try and make sure that it landed with us and DAZN, but in the end he was about to lose the fight. And he had an opportunity to have 2 fights, to fight Kambosos for the undisputed. Obviously, with a rematch clause, if he loses, he has to do the fight in Australia again, which is not the offer that we made. I wanted him to do the rematch in America if he won. And I think he made the right move. You know, it's a fight that could take him to the Undisputed Championship. For me personally, I'm gutted because me and Dev always talked about, he said to me, I'm going to be your first Undisputed World Champion. Male, you got Katie Taylor, I'm going to be your first Undisputed Male World Champion that you signed and we won it together. And, you know, it was hard for him as well because he's a very, very loyal kid. And I know he was uncomfortable with the whole situation, but he had to take this opportunity. Had to. And after these 2 fights, we'll sit down and hopefully we'll be working together. Similar, really, to the Canelo Plant situation. You know, Canelo Alvarez would have never have got that undisputed fight with me. And Devin wouldn't have got it with me at that time because the deal was not acceptable to Lou DiBella, and Lou DiBella didn't want to do the deal with DAZN, he wanted to do it with ESPN. And I'm backing Dev 100% of the way to go and beat Kambosos in Australia.
Are you going to make the trip to Australia?
I think we've got a show on the same night, actually, so maybe not. I'd like to. I would really love to be there to support him. Great kid, great young man, but he's a young kid, but great young man, and you know, I really want to see him win.
Well, did you watch Ryan Garcia?
Yeah. I feel that Ryan Garcia is a big star. I mean, great numbers on DAZN, and you know, Targo was an awkward opponent, difficult, didn't really come to fight. Good 12 rounds for Ryan Garcia, but we need to get on the Maxi Hughes train. Who's on the Maxi Hughes train?
Everyone, I think.
I've reached out to DAZN, I've reached out to Eric Gomez, and I said, look, genuinely, we will do an outdoor event in Yorkshire, Ryan Garcia against Maxi Hughes. We'll do, we'll do 20,000 in Yorkshire. It's a great look for Ryan Garcia, start taking him around the world. Or we will go over to America and no problem, fight Ryan Garcia over there. Maxi Hughes is the IBO world champion. We appreciate that it's not as prestigious as the other belts, but it is a piece of the world championship, which are all tied up for the next year, probably anyway. So, and Ryan Garcia, quite rightfully so, said, I want another fight. You know, I want to stay active and I want to, you know, I want to get back in the ring. So hopefully, obviously, DAZN would like that fight with Maxi Hughes. I just want to land him a massive opportunity. You know, I feel like he can compete against those guys. He deserves the shot. He deserves the payday. He's earned it. And I'll be doing everything I can to deliver him Ryan Garcia or a fight like that. But brilliant to see Ryan Garcia back in the ring. Massive star and going to be involved in some huge nights.
The WBA have now ordered Leo Santa Cruz to defend his WBA featherweight title against Lee Wood. Yeah, can you make comment on that and what's the situation now? Obviously, that was 5 days ago.
Yeah, it's a really good fight. I mean, I think there's still a ruling to be made on the split for that fight. We'd love to do that fight at the City Ground. I still have my doubts whether Santa Cruz can or will make 126 pounds. I hope he does, because I think it's a really, really good fight. And Lee Wood's full of confidence at the moment. He's going to be a very difficult man to beat. So, obviously, Josh Warrington is out, probably back in November time. So we'll be looking to make the Lee Wood fight in the summer. And then, you know, maybe look at a Warrington unification after that.
Exciting division.
Fantastic. You know, and you know, you got Navarrete. Obviously, Josh Warrington just beat, you got Maurizio Lara. You got Michael Conlon. You know, and the Conlon rematch with Lee Wood is a fight that I'm still interested in doing again. Maybe you look at Conlon against Kiko Martinez, Conlon against Maurizio Lara. There's big fights for him as well.
What's happening with Del Boy, Derek Chisora?
I think he's had a few offers of fights. There's 2 fights in particular that I'm really working hard to make for Derek. I don't want to say them because sometimes I say too much and it affects me trying to make those fights. So, but I'm hoping that in the next week I can nail a big fight for Derek Chisora for the summer, and I'm working hard to try and do so.
Ebony Bridges, after a world title win recently in Leeds, is the rematch with Shannon Courtney. Is that likely to happen next?
Shannon has a rematch with Jamie Mitchell as well. I think Shannon's going to get out in sort of end of June, July. 8 rounds. Ebony's going to have a defence in the summer as well. And I've said to Ebony, look, you got 1 defence, then it's time to unify. But the Shannon Courtney fight is one of the biggest fights out there that can be made for her. And I'd love to see it again. You know, there's a little bit of beef. Semi-respect, sorry, but a little bit of beef as well. And we're going to sit down and look at those options. But Ebony Bridges, unbelievable, you know. She boxed really well against Roman. And she now sits as, you know, probably the top of the tree in the bantamweight division. Some big fights to be made. And the Courtney fight is a big money fight for both of them. And once you've won the world title defending it, you should be looking to make as much money as possible. And I think she wants to unify, every world champion does, but she'll be interested when she sees the numbers for the Courtney fight, as will Shannon. And Shannon will think, she's beaten her before, she'll think she can do it again. So I think that's a fight we're likely to see.
What's happened to Alan Babbage? It's got a bit quiet with Alan.
Alan Babbage will box on May 21st on the Boatsy Richards card. So we're just finalising an opponent. We could see him at Bridgerweight. I think, you know, he wants to fight Oscar Rivas, who is the Bridgerweight world champion. He'll need 1 fight at Bridgerweight before we can move into that fight, but he's ready to go. You know, he's ready to fight all of them. And, you know, we'll see how Hrgovic gets on against Zhang. I wouldn't mind a little big fight in Croatia. Hrgovic against Babbage. I think that would be nice and interesting as well. But, yeah, expect to see Babbage back on the Boatsy Richards card May 21st at the O2.
Cards for both Madison Square Garden and in Las Vegas for Canelo all sealed done now. Yeah?
I mean, again, going back to your comment on undercards, they're 2 massive main events. And Fury's a big fight, but Canelo's the biggest star in the world. That Canelo-Alvarez undercard is an absolute banger. Montana Love against Valenzuela, great fight. Hrgovic against Zhang, final eliminator for the world heavyweight title. Shakram Giasov against Gomez Duran, great fight. Mark Castro on that card, Alexis Espino, Jose Velasquez. I've missed some out, I'm sure. The Madison Square Garden card is brilliant. Brilliant card. Katie Taylor, obviously, against Serrano for the Undisputed. Liam Smith against Jesse Vargas, which is a headline fight on any card, on any network, anywhere in the world. Cruz Dezern against Cederos, the Undisputed Super Middleweight World Championship, as well on that card. Galauya fight, great opportunity for him at Madison Square Garden, defending his WBC international title. Amo Williams in a fantastic fight. Sky Nicholson looking to make it 3 in 7 or 8 weeks. So massive platform for her. You've got Reshat Mati on that card as well. You've got Khalil Ko. I'm sure I've missed out something else, but it's just two brilliant main events, 2 brilliant undercards, April 30th and May the 7th, both live on DAZN.
Just returning back to heavyweights, you have made some comments in the past regarding the judges for the Fury-Whyte fight, saying that you didn't see a situation where there would be no British judges. Officials, yeah. Sorry. And that seems to be the case.
I believe there's a British ref, no?
Wasn't your quote about the actual judges?
I don't know, but it's very unusual for there not to be a British official. And normally the board will always insist on the referee and 1 British judge. Now, in the instance where there is a fighter that is not licensed by the British Boxing Board of Control, like Tyson Fury, can sometimes offer up an argument for that. But I believe that a fight of that magnitude between 2 Brits, I would like to see British representation on a judging panel. And obviously that is not the case, but I understand there's a British referee. So
not licensed. Yeah.
So they have some kind of representation in the fight.
Okay, well, your thoughts on Jarrell Miller being sparring with Tyson Fury?
Thoughts in what respect?
It looks to be edging towards a return to the ring, it looks like, as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're never really going to see eye to eye. I don't think I've seen some of his comments about me, and not sure what I've done wrong, but I know what he done wrong. I think Jarrell is a character. It's one thing, you can sometimes give a fighter the benefit of the doubt on a failed test or whatever, but not really with his testing record, in my opinion. I wish him all the best as an individual. Still owes us money. And, you could make big fights for Jarrell Miller, but I won't be making those big fights for Jarrell Miller. And maybe he don't even want to work with me anyway, but I wouldn't be working with Jarrell Miller again.
Okay, Lee Selby announced his retirement from the sport. What a fantastic fighter and a servant to boxing he's been in general. Absolutely,
and always away from his boxing, always had a good reputation, hasn't he? Never always been respectful to the sport, to his opponents. He's absolutely dedicated his life to the sport of boxing. I'm sure he's made some good money as well, which is always nice to see world champions leave the sport with their faculties and also financially secure. And I think he'll be involved in boxing. He's obviously got a very close relationship with the Sanagars. They do, and Lee himself a lot involved in sort of grassroots and opportunities for boxing in the community. And I'm sure Lee Selby will be involved, and we wish him all the best in his new life.
Thoughts on possible fight between Eubank and Brook?
I don't know a lot about it. I think they didn't say that there's no deal agreed, but the weights agreed or something. I just like to see Kel fight Conor Benn, really. I think Conor Benn's the best welterweight in the country. But there'll always be the argument right now if he doesn't fight Kel Brook. So we'll see. I think Eubank against Brooks not a bad fight. They're both looking to make as much money as they can from the sport, and good luck to Kel. He made great money to fight Khan. He made great money to fight Eubank. Eubank's not going to get a big fight like Golovkin, Canelo, these kind of fights. So why not? If he can get a fight with Kell Brook, I don't know what the split will be, like how they'll work that out, but Eubank will think he's the bigger name. Kell Brook coming off the better win. So, I don't know, 50-50 split.
Do you know all this talk, just moving on from there, all this talk about what's the bigger fight out of Taylor Serrano, Shields, Marshall, does it really matter?
No, look, the truth is when you've got a fight like Taylor's, the difference between Shields and Marshall, and by the way, I like the fight, and I think Marshall wins the fight, is you've got one side is an undisputed champion, the other side is a really good fighter that hasn't yet beaten anyone of any note. With Taylor Serrano, you've got two legends of the sport. You've got an undisputed world champion against a 7-division world champion. Now, if you put Shields in with Marshall in America at Madison Square Garden, it wouldn't sell 3,000 tickets. The other fight is going to sell 19,000 tickets. It is the legacy fight, the greatest female fight of all time. Now, what's really important is that we follow up Taylor Serrano with great female fights. Shields against Marshall, great female fight. Baumgardner against Mayer, great female fight. Who else is Jessica McCaskill, Chantel Cameron, great female fight. Senis Estrada, fantastic fighter. We need to make these big fights. So, in my opinion, you can't compare Shields against Marshall, but it is a really good fight and great beef as well. That's the difference. Taylor Serrano is a legacy fight. Marshall against Shields is some good beef in that fight, and I think it'll. I don't know whether thinking about having it. I think I saw an interview with Shields saying she wouldn't do it in the Northeast and wants to do it at the O2 or whatever, but hopefully it gets made. We've got to continue. The whole point of making these mega fights and breaking boundaries is to carry on and make sure that it opens the doors. Like, you've got two females making 7 figures on Taylor Serrano. Are Shields and Marshall making 7 figures? I hope so. Everyone should push for as much money as they can. But we're raising the bar, and we need people to continue. We've smashed the doors down. Come on in. The price is right.
Right, final one. Back to Joshua and Alexander Usyk. Is it any clearer what UK?
UK broadcaster.
Yeah.
No.
Sky, DAZN, what's going on?
No, I think we'll make the fight and see what the model is for the fight, and then we've had offers from Sky, we've had offers from DAZN, we've had offers from other broadcasters. AJ's had a great relationship with Sky, and we'll collectively make a decision. Ultimately, it'll be Anthony's decision at the end of the day, with advice from Matchroom, from 258, everybody, to look at the best option for him. And he'll make a decision in due course.
Is that still a difficult situation for yourself? Because I know I've asked you before, is it a case of you trying to convince Joshua to fight on DAZN, but you said that wasn't the case?
Our deal with DAZN has nothing to do with Anthony Joshua. So we're under no pressure, no obligation to deliver DAZN Anthony Joshua. We will individually assess these opportunities for Anthony Joshua, and we will only advise him, because he will make the final decision as to what we feel is the best opportunity for him, and make sure that contractually it's in a good place and that we can move forward with the right partner at this time in his career.
Okay, Edward, appreciate your time. We've got the public workout later on today in Manchester, so if you're in Manchester, 5 o'clock it starts. Where is it again?
It's going to be at Albert Hall. And then the press conference Thursday, weigh-in Friday, Manchester Arena, Saturday, live on DAZN. See you there.
Edward Hearn, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV.
You're getting knocked, Sparta!
It's gonna go up.
I am the Gypsy King! No hug needed!
Welcome, Team Everlast, to the Team Everlast Fitness app. Download the Everlast Fitness app and find your greatness within.